Yeah, sure.
Hey people, it's not 8 o'clock yet, but we just want to do a quick sound check considering what happened last time. Can someone give a heads up in the chat if you can hear us or not? Thank you.
And if you can also hear me,
Yeah,
that would be
both.
nice. Both of us. I actually heard you via the other channel, so
They hear us. Great. We'll be back in just a
yep.
few minutes then. Great. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Power BI quiz number 2 of this season. The last one was also Power BI, what it was a data platform quiz with Nicola, who's also attending today. So I've been very happy to be back in the Power BI format this time, and I have an amazing guest to present to you guys. You probably know already, but you will meet him in just a bit. For anyone here who may be new to Kahoot, it's quite simple. You need to log into the website kahoot.it or download the Kahoot app, and that's the preparation you need to do. Then, after going to that website or downloading the app, you will need to enter a game pin. This pin I will show you in just after meeting our new special guest. So you will get the game pin when you need to see it. In there, you need to add an email and a nickname. I'm not using this data for anything or marketing or anything. I'm just using it to be able to pick out the winner who gets the prize. And having an email makes that endeavor a lot easier because these nicknames make somewhat not so much sense at times. So we are quizzing in real time. Everyone here who's attending have a chance to win. Everyone here watching this on YouTube afterwards, unfortunately, are not able to participate, but you should tune in the next time, next month, for some fun and some learning. The faster you answer in the quiz, the more points you get. And if we have multi-answer questions, you need to click a submit button after choosing your answers. So don't just pick one and assume that you chose an answer. You actually need to hit that submit button. So for prizes, as usual, we have a $100 Lego gift certificate, which you can use for any Lego you can find in the Lego store. So if you're into Harry Potter, Spider-Man, flowers, or paintings, by all means, do what you want to do with the gift certificate. We have one for the grand winner, and no second place prizes or anything. And I think, let's tune into our special guest. I think he may have brought kind of a raffle prize or a second place prize today. Maybe I'll let him tell that. So welcome to Marc, and it's so good to have you, Marc.
Thank you, Matthias. Great to be on the Power BI quiz, my first
Nice.
time. After winning one time actually, but that's a long time ago
Cool.
already.
I like your shirt. What does it say?
Well, it depends, as always, as every usual
Of
answer we
course.
give as consultants and architects to our
Of
customers.
course.
So that's exactly the price I also want to make available today for
Nice.
the quiz.
So what should we do? Should we do a raffle,
So
or do you
I
want
think
to
we
do
can
it
just.
for the second runner?
Let's just do a random raffle.
We'll do a random raffle. So everyone who participates has a chance.
So
Yes. And I think the
yes,
easiest will be that
and I think the easiest will be that we use the names for that, and then we will reach out to the owner or to the winner afterwards.
Absolutely.
Or is it easier to do that live? I'm not sure.
We haven't done it live before. Maybe we should give it a try and hope for the best. Otherwise, we have that fallback to do it after the quiz. Always good with surprises. So I hope everyone here is ready for some quizzing. But before we start, Marc, have you been up to anything exciting lately? Do we see you at any conferences, or what's in your professional life?
what's in my professional life?
Well, there are a lot of things going on. I would say that over the last weeks, a lot of people, especially customers, but also colleagues, keep asking me if I still work. With just one reason. I first went to MVP Summit in the US, and when I came back, I directly continued my journey to Copenhagen for the Power BI cruise, which was a great experience. After coming back, I think I work for 2 weeks for customers again, and next week I'm off to Tekorama in Belgium for another conference, and then after that next one up will be Data Saturday in Bonn in Germany. I think I got one more before summer. Yes, Power Platform Summit in
nice. So anyone here, let me do a quick introduction for you, Marc. Anyone here who doesn't know, Marc is a Microsoft MVP, Fast Track Solution Architect for Power Platform, specifically for Power BI, working at McCarve as an BI architect, and just a kick-ass Power BI professional, if you ask me. This is not what he told me to say. By the way. So,
it's just a nice.
No, it's just a nice.
What is the topic for today, Marc? What did you bring us?
Well, I'm mostly fan of the data modeling aspect of Power BI. I just get most exciting about that. So, although I know that we already had a Power BI quiz in the past with Jeroen Teert, Jay, about data modeling, I quickly chatted with him, and he said there are tons of topics more to cover. So just do it. So we'll do another quiz on data modeling with Power BI.
Cool. And it's a good mix of very hard questions, some that are actually answerable. So I look very much forward to this. I at least had some of them I didn't have the answers for myself. So it's a really cool quiz.
I see in the chat, by the way, that there's a slight echo with my voice. So what I can
it's not your fault.
And we just have to try it.
I can fix that. So let's switch to the quiz and let people join in and get signed up with the game pin. So here you go, guys. If you have the Kahoot app, you can type in this pin on the app. If you're on kahoot.it, you can use the same pin to register, and everything you need is on the top side of this screen. So while you sign in, I will fix a microphone here to remove the echo from Marc.
And there we have our first joiners already.
Nice.
Nicola and Donald. Ah, nice. I think I see a colleague even. Datas. Good to see you. Colleague from Lithuania.
Great. Do people still hear me?
My side,
and do
but that's
people still hear Marc? Because
other
the
stream, of
echo
course.
should be fixed now. Yes. Yeah. I think it works now. We have 15 participants so far. It's a pretty.
Donald is actually saying that the
There's
sound
always
is
some people-
worse. Let me quickly check that on my end.
Yeah, joining in. So are we expecting brain melting hard questions? Or
So I
do
think
you
we can better
that,
switch back with
there
a
will be
slight
some
echo
that
than,
even a beginner can answer in this quiz? Because it is an advanced quiz. I sound worse. No, I sound worse.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jacob.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay.
The only thing I can
Which
try
is
is I
weird
switch to my other
because
microphone.
I didn't change the microphone at
That
phone
might
at all.
also make a slight difference.
Is it?
Well,
Yes. Is it
well,
just
this
the
is at least
Terminator
the
thing
microphone that I have
gone
right
now?
here instead of the
My goodness.
headset microphone.
The only thing
If people can still hear me.
to my other microphone. That might also make a slight difference.
But it's my speaker going into my microphone. That's the issue.
Well, this is at least the microphone that I have right here instead of the headset microphone. If people can still hear me.
So, guys, how about now? Would be probably the last sound you
They lost you.
Is the
Oh, I still hear you.
Terminator bad, or is it better now? I see no one in the chat. So, if you think someone else is going to answer this question,
Nope.
God.
They lost you. Oh, I still hear you.
Can everyone hear Matthias again?
Yeah, we shouldn't have shuffled around with it.
Yep.
Can you ask people
We
if
love
they
you
hear me
too,
again?
Nicola.
Can
Yeah.
everyone hear Matthias again?
Can you guys hear me? Shut up and give us the questions. Well, we have people signed up here and all things good. So I hope people can hear me. And I hope they will tell me if they can. But otherwise,
Just
yes,
do the
let's get
questions,
started. As this
read them out
quiz
loud, do
can
the
work without
explanation.
me. And hopefully you'll just explain some of the things if they cannot hear me. But I hope someone here will actually tell me if they can hear me.
Otherwise, I will just do the questions, read them out loud, do the explanation.
Yeah, something is. So yeah, we'll start the quiz. So, quiz by you. And we have here question number 1. So example question. So people learn how to do this. Which is today's topic? Which is today's topic?
Well, Nicola says it's actually better now, so let's just hope for the best.
How's this?
It's actually better now, so let's just hope for the best.
Yes. Good. We're hoping for the best. Moving on to question number 2. No points here. And every question from now on will award points, and there will be a few questions who even are
Make
double
it really
points.
hard for them by
So
saying
watch out
false
for
first.
that.
Well, actually, Nicola
Let's get
kills.
started.
There we have true.
Question number
Yeah.
1. Having multiple fact tables in your
click the
Power BI
right
data
button,
model,
guys.
is that a good practice? Yes or no? False or true?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
true
and vice
or
versa.
false? True or
Always
false?
challenging.
True or false?
Click the right button, guys.
Yeah. It's like that test where you have to click the green colored button and it says the letters red in a green color, and yeah.
Yeah, vice versa. Always challenging.
Always challenging.
Yeah, well, you always try to aim for a star schema, right? Star schema works best, and I think that a lot of
Great.
people
So it's
should
16
agree with me
answers out of
that,
17.
and there's a saying in
And there you
the
go.
world data, like star schema, all the things.
So,
Yes, there are
having
cases
multiple
where
fact tables in your
multiple
Power BI
fact
data.
tables
You say false here, Marc.
cannot be avoided or is fine, but in principle, aim for a star schema with just one fact table in the middle, surrounded by dimensions.
There's a saying in world data, like star schema, all the things. Yes, there are cases where multiple fact tables cannot be avoided or is fine, but in one fact table in the middle surrounded by dimensions.
But how about, because I hear arguments from
No,
both
no,
sides.
no. And it's also in line with what
There's also
Thomas just
people,
said
I
in the
think
chat,
even
actually.
Chris
They
Webb
just
wrote
don't join
at
that.
one point,
If you
like,
join them,
we
we will
should aim
bloat the
for
fact
one
table.
model covering
But you
the
could
entire
very
distance.
well
That's like
append
the ideal
tables
scenario.
very often.
But this is
And
kind of,
I would usually
I
say,
wrote to post you want to
first make
include
a
whole
mapping table, see
company
how many
or a
mapping
whole,
columns you
like
have.
the whole landscape
And
within
based
one
on
fact
those
table.
mapping, you can say whether it makes sense to append them together or not. But I would say aim for a star schema with one fact table. That should be like the ideal goal, the North Star, although it's not always possible, I have to admit.
See how many mapping columns you have, and based on those mapping, you can say whether it makes sense to add them together or not. But I would say aim for a star schema with one fact table. That should be like the ideal goal, the North Star, although it's not always possible, I have to admit.
Gotcha. Okay, so seeing the score, we have, of course, a very tight score here because it's the first question and people can answer this very quickly. So just let's move on to question number 2. Which is question number 3. Sorry, we had the test question. Which
Same
data
thing, but
model
different,
type
right?
works best in Power BI? Is it a flat table? Is it a normalized table? Is it a star table? I assume star schema. Is it a snowflake table?
We kind of
Or
give away
snowflake
the
model?
answer with the previous explanation, right?
Yeah. Snowflake and star schema. So I would go hands down. This is a star schema only. But,
Nicolas saying in chat, do they also see
but-
only the shapes on the
so
screen and
Snowflake,
not the questions
is
itself?
that
I think that is
the-
normal behavior on the app, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I mean, we can do stuff that may not be clear cut, but still works.
But I think you said that we also see only the shapes of the screen and not the question itself. I think that is normal behavior on the app, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the standard behavior on the app. I usually actually have the answers switched on. So sorry about missing that one.
No,
I
we'll
usually
just go ask.
copy the settings
just
from
go
last quiz, and I don't know if this setting is something that needs to be done manually every time. It's usually not a problem, but my bad. So yes, you probably have to look at the answers from the stream. I cannot change it mid quiz. Unfortunately. Exactly. Next time you'll be able to see the answers again. Right. So points. Fran still in the lead. Fran Gutierrez. Go. With 2 runners up, still not far back. So let's see if this changed with question number 4.
And if we talk about semi, we're not
Double
talking about
point.
the truck.
So it will probably change. In a semi-additive fact table, a measure can it be summed against all dimensions? Be summed against some
First hit on
dimensions?
Google.
Only
First
be
hit on
summed
Google is
over
usually your
time,
best answer,
or
right?
not be summed
If you
at
skipped
all.
all the marketing ads.
If we talk about semi, we're not talking about a truck.
Yeah.
We're talking about a semi-additive fact table. Oh, I thought it was I just googled semi. And
Double point for this
That's what
question.
came
Well,
up,
it's actually
so
a hard one. So
must be
I'm
relevant.
curious to see what the answers will be.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Until I can get ChatGPT to give me an image.
You should actually know that when we, Jay, the program manager, and I did a session together on the Power BI quiz, and on the road while we drove up to Copenhagen, we were discussing this because we both didn't know. We didn't remember by heart what the
you caught
exact
me off
answer
guard
was,
with
so
this
we were
one.
Googling it on the road while the other one was driving to see what the actual answer was.
Today, the program manager and I did a session together on the Power BI quiz. And on the road while we drove up to Copenhagen, we were discussing this because we both didn't know. And we didn't remember by heart what the exact answer was, but we were.
Well, typically because it doesn't make sense.
The other one was driving to see what the actual answer was.
So the
It's
answer is,
basically
it can
semi-additive
be
factors
summed
like,
against
okay, you have some dimensions
And
which
what's
you
the
can
reason for it
calculate
to
it,
not
like,
work against all dimensions? What's the because the
let's
answer
say
is
you
obvious.
have an,
Why can't we do that? Is it a technical
I'm always
thing? Is it
bad in coming up with examples, but let's say you have an average of something. An average is not necessarily an average over time calculated. Then you cannot put it back to an individual day. If you take an average by year and you pre-calculate that, it doesn't make sense to display that against months. So then you cannot sum it or do anything with it, or even not take a sum at all in this case. So not against all dimensions, but it might still make sense to plot it against product categories or whatever.
Year, you pre-calculate that. It doesn't make sense to display that against months. So then you cannot sum it or do anything with it, or even not take a sum at all.
It would be an additive fact table.
So
Yeah.
against all dimensions, but it might still make sense to plot it against product categories or whatever.
Yeah. And I think the winner argument is, I mean, if you could sum it against all dimensions, it would not be a semi-additive fact table anymore.
It would be an additive.
It would be an additive fact table, exactly.
Nice.
So yeah, cool question. Let's see the results from that. Nicola entered the leaderboard together with
The
Jakob.
next one.
So getting ready, very close to climbing to maybe a first place. And in the next question, I think they can, with some wrong answers, some right, they can take this, and the questions are definitely not the easiest, so everything can happen. Enriching a dataset with a table from your local Excel file makes this
I have
model
to say, I had a lot of fun coming up with these questions already.
composite model, proxy model, a direct query to Power BI datasets and Azure analysis services, or none of what is mentioned before. This question.
I have to say, I had a lot of fun coming up with these questions already.
I get that. They're also tricky.
Well, Donut's already
So
saying
this one is
it might be a trick
people have
question.
answered.
So.
This one is it's almost like probably the most hated, or yeah, I'm afraid of giving away the answer with what I'm going to say. So let's wait.
Yep. And even before that, it was I think it was first with Azure Analysis Services, and they changed it to just Analysis Services when they also supported on-prem over a gateway. And now it is just composite models, and that's also what was mentioned in the chat. Just go for what Jay says, the program manager behind this feature. It is just a composite model, and the connector that you're using is just a connector to a different data source, but it's nothing else than creating a composite model to a SQL database and then a local Excel file or whatever.
That's also what was mentioned in the chat. Just go for what Jay says. The program manager behind this feature, it is just a composite model. The connector that you're using is just a connector to a different data source, but it's nothing else than creating a composite model to a SQL database and a local Excel file or whatever.
Yeah, and the connector has a different flavor than most connectors, but we don't categorize any other connectors. So I would start with this one specific connector.
Too bad.
Just,
he was on second place actually, so that's a hard drop.
Nice. So with that question, someone dropped out of the leaderboard. I didn't see who, but that gave Sandro a place to enter the scoreboard.
That was wrong.
Oh.
Too bad. Second place actually, so that's a hard drop.
Maybe you have a chance to climb again. There are still 9 questions to go, or 8. And with that said, we'll go to question number 6.
Very curious.
In composite models and remote calculation groups, the cal group applies to all measures. True or false?
Well, you can always go for just your best guess, right?
We haven't experienced crowd Marc. I think we also
the perfect answer is already given.
Telling about the event, we made sure to.
But it's not true. It's not the correct answer.
I mean, maybe we scared away.
The suggestion in chat is, I think it depends. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing here is I saw a few people even answer true. Um, it is not true. It's false because a remote model with a remote calculation group will not apply to your local model. So it will not apply to any data source that you load locally on top of.
But
your
we have
data set.
Nikolai. Yeah.
The interesting thing here is that I saw a few people even answer true. It is not true. It's false because a remote model with a remote calculation will not apply to your local model. So it will not apply to any data source that you load locally on top of your data set.
Right. Cool. Cool. So Nicola took the lead, and we have Ozzy entering the scoreboard, and we are ready to move on to the next question. Question number 7.
I remember that you pinged me when I
Slowly
sent the
changing
questions in
dimensions
that you had to look this up.
keep track of how many versions? Keeping track of only current, the current plus the previous. The number of historical records can be defined, or no limitations. This is one of my favorite questions.
I remember that you pinged me when I sent the questions in that you had to look this up.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that with everyone.
It's just not the most common type.
So the thing is, no, that's going to give away too much. We'll come back to that. We'll circle back to that.
Donald, if you have loaded the Kimball book into ChatGPT, it might be fast enough. If you need to really start reading and go to page by page, you have 4 seconds left, so better be quick.
And maybe for a reason.
But Donald, if you have loaded the Kimball book into ChatGPT, it might be fast enough. You need to really start reading and then go to page by page. There are 4 seconds left, so better be quick.
Yes. So it is the current plus the previous, which is also circling back to why I had to Google it, because I think I worked with all the other types, but never type 3. And when you wrote this question, I was like, wait, type 3? I should know this.
The most common one, if you start implementing slowly change dimensions, is type 2. Just with the surrogate key and then keep all the history for as long as you want.
I mean, why would you want to do that? If someone in the chat has an example of where this would make sense, I'd be happy to hear, but I just don't see it.
Or just the type 0. No. Type 0, no history allowed.
Type 4, or even a type 6, or modern type 7. I mean, it's kind
just
of a ladder
allowing for example, your customer, you just don't allow in the system that your customer moves to a different location.
Well, type 0. No.
You keep reporting them on the same location.
No, I mean, type 0, isn't that even...
Anyway, on to the next question.
It's just that data, isn't it?
No, it's just not allowing for example, your customer, you just don't allow your customer moves to a different location. You keep reporting them on the same location.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, on to the next question.
On to the next question. This changed a lot. People don't memorize type 3s. Slowly changing dimensions. I'm relieved. But we have Dinos and Christian in top. And moving on to question number 8.
Option here.
So, row level security and bidirectional relationships.
Yes.
Do they work together? True or false?
If they ask, do we need row level security? The answer is always yes. It's just an additional layer of security. You may decide to not put any filter in it.
So
do you need row level security?
What's your go-to answer for the question? Do we need row level security for a model?
Because then, if you accidentally
you have the
broadcast the reports to a wider range of users, then your second level of security will still kick in with row level security. Yes. Yes. So let's see the answers. It's also an interesting split.
Yes, so you still need to be in the security role to have access to the data. Absolutely, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's see the answers.
Oh,
Yeah. You need to explicitly
Yeah, and I
mention in the
skipped
relationship dialogue
forward a
to
bit
pass
too
the
fast,
security
yeah.
filter
But,
over the bidirectional relationship.
Ozzy took the lead with this. It was
If you
it
don't
was
do
straight
it,
up to split.
it won't work.
And I get that. That is also why I said like third option. It depends because yes, it can work, but you need to think about it.
Yeah, you need to explicitly mention in a relationship dialogue to pass the security filter over the bidirectional relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that, it won't work.
Exactly. And with that, moving on to question number 9. It's multi-select, so more than one option, and you need to remember to click the submit button to actually submit the answer. Which storage modes exist in Power BI? Ooh, import, live connect, damn, import, and dual. Sorry guys, don't click the...
Well, I think we selected them as
what
correct.
Is the yellow one is the direct query supposed to be?
Giving away the answer a bit though.
Yeah. This is on me. We did actually find this mistake earlier.
I think we selected that as correct, so we answered it though.
Yeah, so you can see yellow as direct query, or you can see it as...
Which was the only one that was wrong, actually. Because even if it's still... Yeah. Even if we still... Yellow should have been direct query, but even import and import still valid.
And a few people actually chose
a dual is
live
basically
connect
a mix of import and direct query, and then the query context decides whether it goes for one or the other. But live connect for sure is
Most
not
people got the right
storage
ones.
mode.
Most people got the right ones, so it's not like...
If we still, yellow should have been direct query, but import and import still valid.
Yeah.
And dual is basically a mix of import and direct query, and then the query context decides whether it goes for one or the other. But live connect for sure is not a storage mode.
Absolutely. And with that,
Yes.
confusing question unfortunately changed a lot, so I hope it wasn't because of the confusion, but you're right, Mark. The questions were still having the correct answers, even though, but slightly confusing. So let's move on to question number 10. It's a multi-select again. Limited
This is
relationships
also
occur
maybe a
when
bit of a trick question, though.
the relationship is cross-source. It's a cross-source group combining 2 or more sources, many-to-many relationships, or bidirectional relationships.
For next time.
This is also maybe a bit of a trick question.
Yeah.
Though.
All the questions have
It depends on the mood of the day.
Maybe I should start making a rule. Only half of the questions can be trick questions.
Yeah. If you don't know, just click it depends.
Only half of the questions are allowed to be able to answer with it depends also.
It depends on the mood of the day.
Let's make a quiz where all the answers also has the it depends option, and that will always be correct.
You don't know, just click it depends.
Yes.
Yes, and the trick one here was combining 2 or more data sources, and that is not correct because why not is basically if you both import, if you import from a SQL database, if you import from, I don't know, SAP HANA or Snowflake, you still enter in the same source group as soon as you import it. If you have both on direct query, then it will turn into a cross-source group.
Basically, if you both import, if you import from a SQL database, you import from
Snowflake.
SAP HANA,
Yeah.
or Snowflake, you still enter in the same source group as soon as you import it. If you have both direct query, then it will turn into a cross-source group.
Yes, absolutely. So the curious thing here is that 14 people got the first one right and 7 the second, but they also need to get both of them right without answering wrong. So maybe only a few people actually got points this round. Let's check that out.
Well, the nice thing is that it's still changing a lot. Although
Fran
we're
took
so
the
far
opportunity
into
here
the
to
quiz
rise,
already.
and Sander
Only
used
4
it
more
to come
questions to
back
go.
into the leadership. Pretty cool. But I also see kind of Vino is taking a lead that will be harder and harder to catch up to.
I see. It's still changing a lot. Although we're so far into the quiz already.
Yeah,
4 more questions.
absolutely. More questions to go, and I cannot predict the winner here. And maybe there will even be some double points left to change it a bit even more. Who knows?
I still love the picture we picked here.
So, which
This should be in the interface of Power BI. If you have a limited relationship, then just a crime scene line should be over it.
do not cross?
It should be in the interface of Power BI. If you have a limited relationship, then just a crime scene line
Yeah.
should be over.
Well, the correct answer here. Yeah. Oh yes.
Yes.
The correct answer. The only correct answer is related. Related is the only one that doesn't allow you to cross a limited relationship. That's because in a limited relationship, the engine is not capable of knowing which is the one side or the many side of the relationship, or at least not with full certainty. So therefore, you cannot use the related function.
The only correct answer is related.
Yes.
Related is the only one that doesn't allow you to cross a limited relationship. That's because in a limited relationship, the engine is not capable of knowing which is the one side or many side of the relationship, or at least not with full certainty. So therefore, you cannot use the related function.
Exactly. And that changed quite a bit again. Ozzy coming up to the second place.
Yes.
Vino is
A licensing
increasing that
question,
lead
because
even
why not?
more,
Everyone loves
making it
licensing.
a lot harder for other people to fight over the prize now. But Sander is still climbing with 3 questions to go. So anything may happen. Let's find out with question number 12.
Yes, the licensing question, because why not? Everyone loves licensing.
To build user-defined
Already
aggregations,
saving 2 more questions to go.
Power
We
BI
saved the
Premium?
best for last.
True or false?
Well, I have them on the side of the screen here. Otherwise, I would have remembered either.
We already saved 2 more questions to go. We saved the best for last.
Yes. I don't remember that, so I'm excited.
Yeah, well, user-defined aggregations work in both Pro and Premium per user, obviously.
12 people
But
got
automatic
this one correct,
aggregations
4 wrong.
are only Premium.
So
So the trick here was in that one user-defined
part
part.
is about remembering which feature is in Premium and which is not.
Yeah, well, user-defined aggregations work in both Pro and Premium user, obviously. But automatic aggregations are only Premium.
Exactly.
So the trick there was if you got one user-defined part to watch it.
Exactly. And Nicola pushed down Sander to take the 4th place, but other than that, nothing really changed. It's kind of the same distance. It's kind of the same placement. It's beginning to look like a certain things. I think only a double point question would be able to change this by now. So let's move on to question number 13, which is not a double point. An
I still
alternate
remember
key
the answer.
is the primary key from the source system.
And for everyone that already wants to know, this somehow relates back to slowly changing dimensions.
You still remember the answer?
I do.
For everyone that already wants to know, this somehow relates back to slowly changing dimensions.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say about alternate keys that wouldn't give away the answer like spot on. So yeah, let's see what people are answering. There's 4 seconds left.
Yes. Well, the
15 answers.
interesting thing is that the answer that most people went for, the key generated from the data warehouse, is what we call a surrogate key. And a surrogate key is typically what we'll see with, which is only numeric, and what we'll see with slowly changing dimensions, that you every time you add a new entry for the dimension, you add a new number to basically. So I can exist as a customer twice in the table with a different integer number as a key. The alternate key is the primary key, so the original key that it was in the source system. Typically, you want to keep this, or let's say most of my customers want to keep this in the table as well. Why? Because they can use this as a lookup to their source system if they want to look up something about that product, that customer, or whatever. But the generated keys are surrogate keys. The primary key or the original key from the source system is what we call an alternate key. And yes, the name is a bit confusing.
Their source system, if they want to look up something about that product, that customer, or whatever. But the generated keys
Yes.
are surrogate keys. The primary key or the original key from the source system.
Yes, that's true.
Key. Yes, the name is a bit confusing.
It is indeed. And yeah, so basically just a business key.
Yes.
If you would call this a business key,
it's still interesting because at the top position for quite a long time, and now he has some competition again.
Asking to the lead with this question, but actually leaving a very tight score between number 1 and number 2, between us here and Vino.
Well, it's still interesting because at the top position for quite a long time, and now he has some competition again.
Yes, and I think we can reveal that the last question is of course a double point, so nothing is certain here. We actually have such a tight score here that even number 3 even everyone on this list could take the lead by some fringe case, but yeah, I think Nicola has actually a chance, Fran as well. Vino definitely can claim this one back in the last double point question. So with that said, let's move to the last question, question number 14, for a double point. So a non-wholesalable query is a query that uses objects in more than one source group.
No.
Is a query in a remote model, is typically occurring in a composite.
Yeah. Yes, partly. It is basically also related to composite models a little bit, hint, hint. But it has something to do with where the calculation is happening and how it is calculated, which basically explains non-wholesalable. There are some articles online from our favorite DAX people, Alberto and Marco, who called it actually wholesale and retail. And Microsoft then said, like, no, retail confuses. So you know what? We do wholesale and non-wholesalable.
And there are some articles online from our favorite.
So let me explain this one because I see the time to answer is over. There were 2 correct answers. It uses objects from objects in more than one source group because it is a composite model. That was the hint I just gave you. And it's typically occurring in a composite model. So what is happening? Remember the question we had earlier, for example, at calculation groups and in a composite model. If you have let's say some local sales that you import from an Excel sheet, and you have some sales that you get from another model that lives in a Power BI service. So you build that composite model, but you also apply a calculation group on top, but that calculation group lives in the remote model in the Power BI service. That means that at that point, if you say, let's calculate a year to date, that calculation group is only applied to the remote model, to the remote calculation of that global sales that you had there. So adding up the local sales in your model by the filtered to year to date global sales doesn't make any sense because one is affected by the calculation group, the other one is not. And that is what we call a non-wall saleable query because it doesn't make any sense to add them up together because one is filtered, the other one is not.
Normal by the filter to year-to-date global sales.
Yes, we can technically make this calculation. We can perfectly build a measure to add these two up together, but the result won't make any sense.
It makes sense to add them up together because one is filtered, the other one is not.
But there's not a technical limitation. We can make them and they won't make sense, correct?
Yes, we can technically make this calculation.
Yes, and that is why validating the outcomes is always super important.
The result won't make any sense.
Which really shows that when working with these complex scenarios, just trying your way around and hoping that if you don't get an error, that's not a secure way to make sure what you're creating works. You need to understand what is going on. Yeah.
And that is why validating the outcomes is always super important.
Absolutely. So a lot of people actually answered these correct, but it was a multi-select, so they needed to answer both of them correct for maximum points without getting any of the others wrong. And we also got a few who actually guessed for the two wrong options. So I'm very curious to see how this pans out. I think we're going to go directly to the leaderboard. So drum roll here. Number 3 is Fran Gutierrez Go. Number 2, Vino. And that means congrats to Aussie, who took back the first place on this last question. So I mean, yes, he's been up there for most of the game. Kind of maybe deserves to be able to reclaim that on the last question. So congrats, Aussie, for winning the gift certificate to a Lego. And yeah, I'll reach out and hand the prize to you. And Mark, you had a raffle. So let's try to see if we can raffle among the participants here live. As a kind of an improvised thing that I did not anticipate us doing, but is more than happy to try out.
Okay.
So the question is if I can even get a list of participants while we do the quiz. This is what I'm curious about. Nope. I cannot. So we tried. And
we have to figure out
it,
this
I cannot get,
I'm not printing them myself.
That means we're going to
there's
pick
a company Teespring printing them,
so you may be the lucky winner.
We have to figure out what's the easiest way to make that.
With the certificate for a t-shirt, or that they reach out to you and you ship it to them, or yeah, you'll figure that out.
We have to figure out this because I'm not printing them myself. There's a company Teespring printing them, so we have to figure out what's the easiest way to make that.
So I'll put you in contact with Mark, whoever wins, and thank you all for joining. It's been a blast here. Sorry about the sound quality. At least we could hear each other this time, which I think is a big
Thank you all.
From
See you soon.